What's up, guys? Welcome back to today's episode of The Sports Sermon. We are brought to you by Scooch, the most functional phone case on the market. Check out ScoochCase.com to get yours today and use the code SPORTS18, sports with a Z, of course, to get a 10% discount on your order. Stay tuned till the end for a special Scooch giveaway as well. But now, today's episode. So we're here today to talk about the Houston Rockets. They have made little changes to their teams this year and have been trying to get the Warriors and take them down. Obviously, they fell short last year, losing in Game 7. Chris Paul got hurt in Game 6, created some controversy as to whether or not they could have upset the Warriors if he was healthy. But we'll get into all of that and more. Before we get into the show, though, I want to tell you guys where you can find the show. You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. Make sure you go check it out on all three of those platforms. I'm Jason Gandhi. I'm here with Dan Majors and Dylan Staggy. The boys are here today to discuss the Houston Rockets. Like I said, you can follow me on Twitter at jgandhi2425, Dan on Twitter at dmajors44, and Dylan on Twitter at StaggyDylan. But boys, let's get into the Rockets. They keyed in on Carmelo. Did that make sense for both Carmelo and the Rockets, and what can that do for Houston?
I think it makes more sense for Melo in trying to join a championship team. But, I mean, do the Rockets really need another guy to shoot a ton of shots? Melo's not a great three-point shooter, is definitely not a great defender. And, I mean, the whole Rockets' philosophy is try to get 3 and D wings, and they lost 2 good ones in Trevor Ariza and Luke Mbah-a-Moute. And I don't think Melo is a great replacement for either of them.
Yeah, I think Melo fits better with the Rockets than the Thunder. But I don't think he helps that much, although the way they space out and just check threes, that could make him a better fit. I said last year that I thought it would work out in OKC if Melo took a smaller role and played like Olympic Melo, but that didn't happen. So I'm not going to believe it works in Houston.
Yeah, I don't know. When I look at the Rockets, I don't buy it. I agree with Dan. He has to be willing to take that smaller role. It's easy to make fun of Melo, but he still is one of the greatest shooters this game has seen. If he could accept the smaller role, he could be a premier 3-and-D guy, and that would be great for the Rockets, but he won't, and I really think that's the problem, is that he's not willing to take a role cut. He's already gotten paid a bunch, but
I don't think he's a good enough three-point shooter or defender to accept that role, and even excel in that role, even if he doesn't.
I think he would.
And what does he do?
I mean, if he focuses his attention on that instead of ISOing, I think he definitely. I mean, if you look at him in the Olympics, like Dan said, he's a heck of a three-point shooter. You just got to focus on it and not worry about ISOing and posting up and all that stuff. If you focus, I think it's a mentality. I mean, if Melo commits himself to popping threes and working on defense, I definitely think he'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's me personally. But I think that begs the question, who's better, the 2017 Rockets or 2018 Rockets?
Definitely 2017. Ariza and Mbah-a-Moute were such a big part of their defense, and I'm not really sure if Melo improves the offense enough to make up for it.
Yeah, right now I'll say 2017 just because I don't know how the Melo situation will go. Ariza, he was a big part of the team, like Dylan said. He'll be missed. But if they're 30 games in and it's not working out with Melo and he's just making this team not really compete for a title, I feel like they do need to pull the plug. They have to trade him and get back to what they were doing last year.
Yeah. Personally, I honestly just don't know if that's an option. I'm worried that they burnt their bridges with Trevor Ariza. I think the 2017 Rockets are much better, and Ariza was the guy that had championship experience on this team last year that could get them over the hump. Find me that guy for them now. Chris Paul has never been to a finals. James Harden has never been to the finals.
Yes.
Not as a star guy. I mean, he's been there, but he was a six man. That's what I mean. They've never been there and won a championship. There's no guy with championship experience, and so I think Trevor Ariza is a big reason that they were so successful in the playoffs, and I think this loss is going to be crucial. Melo's not going to be the answer, and they're not going to be able to find somebody come trade deadline time that's going to want to give them a 3-and-D guy, and so I really am worried about this Rockets team. So with my worries in there, and you guys obviously are not all sold on them either, do you think this team can still be the 1 or 2 seed in the West, and what are your expectations for the Rockets?
I don't think number 1 anymore, but I do think that they get to the number 2 seed. I expect them to be in contention to win the West once again, but fall short in probably about 6 games in the conference finals to the Warriors.
I think they can get the 1 or 2 seed if the Melo thing works out. I mean, they were still on a whole nother tier than the teams were last year. So if they're just a step below, then yeah, they can definitely get at least a 2 seed.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's a guarantee anymore. I'm real worried about the role players, especially they need guys that are okay being without the ball, and they don't have those guys on their team. My expectations for them have to be going to the Western Conference Finals against the Warriors. Well, I don't know if that happens. I think that has to be because they did it last year, and they have to get back for this all to make sense. Daryl Morey put his faith on Carmelo Anthony, and if that doesn't work, then I think there's a big conversation as to what were the Rockets doing, and do you have to make major changes come next offseason? Because I feel like at least most of us agree that you can't just blow this off as, oh, no big deal, like they're still going to be as good as they were last year. I think we all agree Trevor Ariza is a big loss, and that say next year comes and they're not in the finals and all of that, I guess I wonder what are they going to do then, because Melo will be gone, but you don't have cap space. They're not going to be a bunch of cheap 3-and-D guys. Guys are going to go get paid next year. I don't know. I'm worried about the Rockets long term if this does not fit.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can try to continue to build around Chris Paul, James Harden, Clint Capella, because now they have all those guys locked up for a long time. Daryl Morey is a creative guy. I think they'll be okay in the future. The only thing I would worry about is Chris Paul aging too fast.
Yeah, I mean, he's been injury-plagued his entire career. I don't know. I think that's another concern, because what happens if he goes down? They don't have a great backup. This team is just not very deep. And, I mean, Trevor Ariza was, only only big loss they lost. They didn't really lose anyone else that was of much importance. But they just don't have a solid backup point guard, and we saw their struggle last year. Yeah, you move Harden to the 1, but then Eric Gordon's going to have to really step it up and put up 30, 40 a game if Chris Paul does go down in order to keep up with the Warriors, because James Harden's not going to be able to beat the Warriors by himself.
Yeah, I mean, they were really close in that one game with Eric Gordon basically filling Chris Paul's role, but obviously he just couldn't do it as good.
Yeah, and that's why my expectation, like I said, is they have to get back to the Warriors, and I think they have to beat them. I mean, that was the goal of this team when they constructed them together. It was, this team is built to beat the Warriors, so I want to see it happen. And I worry, like I said, if it's not this year, I don't know what year they're going to be able to do it. Any last thoughts on the Rockets? Nope. All right. Well, as I mentioned in the opener, Scooch is doing a 10% discount for you guys. I'm going to change that to 15. That way you guys go on it right now and go to scoochcase.com with the code SPORTS18, sports with a Z, and get 15% off all your orders. Also, if you comment and subscribe below, you will be entered for a free Scooch case. So check all of that out. Definitely comment below, and you might be able to win a free phone case. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys later.